Okay, let's be real. Do you ever feel like you're just spinning your wheels, working harder than ever but somehow getting less done? Well, what if the secret to getting ahead isn't some new app or a perfectly color-coded calendar? What if it's actually a set of kind of bizarre, totally counterintuitive strategies that the world's top performers use? Let's get into it.
And this isn't just a feeling, the numbers really back it up. Right now, a whopping 79% of us who can work from home are doing it, either full-time or in some kind of hybrid model. And that has just completely nuked the old boundaries between work and life.
And this leads to that feeling. You know the one. The end of the day rolls around, you've been slammed with emails, meetings, and a million little tasks. You were busy, for sure, but did you actually get anything important done? We've got more flexibility than ever, but for a lot of us, it just feels like we're more overwhelmed.
So what is going on here? Well, it turns out we've pretty much all stumbled into something you could call the modern productivity trap. And it's all built on some seriously old school thinking.
Think about it. Most of the productivity advice we get is all about that grind harder, hustle culture mentality. It basically treats our brains like a factory assembly line. It sees productivity as a logistics problem, something you solve just by managing your time better. But that model is totally broken for the kind of creative, knowledge-based work we do today. So, to get out of this trap, we need a totally new mindset. It's not about working harder, it's about working weirder. And a whole lot smarter. This right here, this is the entire shift in thinking. The old way was all about logistics, about managing the clock. But the modern view, it's all psychological. The big takeaway is that the most successful people out there aren't just managing their calendars. Nope, they are actively managing their energy, their focus, and their creativity. They're managing their brains. Okay, so how in the world do they do that? Let's dive into our first couple of hacks. These are designed specifically to help you manage your mental energy and keep your focus sharp all day long. First up, something called planned procrastination. And I know, it sounds like a joke, like a free pass to slack off, but it's actually a powerful tool. We're all taught that procrastinating is some kind of moral failing, but what if it's just a signal? Your brain telling you that something needs to change. So how does it actually work in practice? Well, by scheduling time to mess around guilt-free, whether that's scrolling social media or watching YouTube videos, you do two amazing things. First, you actually create a sense of urgency for the real work. And second, you give your brain a scheduled break to recharge, instead of just feeling guilty about being distracted all day. It's about working with your brain's need for a break, not against it. Oh man, we have all been here. It's that post-lunch nightmare, the afternoon slump. Every single task feels like climbing a mountain, and your focus is just gone. The go-to move is to grab another coffee, right? But there's a much better, and yeah, a much weirder way to beat it. I want you to meet the Nappuccino. It sounds completely ridiculous, but trust me, the science on this is rock solid. It is an unbelievably effective technique for hitting the reset button on your brain in the middle of the afternoon. The method is so simple. Step 1, you drink a cup of coffee pretty quickly. Step 2, you immediately lie down for a 20-minute power nap. So why 20 minutes? Well, that's about how long it takes for the caffeine to work its way through your system and kick in. You literally wake up just as that jolt of energy hits your brain. And the results? They're kind of staggering. A NASA study, that NASA, found that a short nap improved their pilots' performance by 34%. You get the benefit of the nap, clearing out all those chemicals that make you feel drowsy, plus you get the caffeine boost, all without that groggy feeling you sometimes get after a long nap. It's the perfect combo. All right, so we've got a couple of hacks for daily energy. But what about that other huge problem? That feeling of just being paralyzed when you're looking at a massive new project. You know, the fear of the blank page is a very real thing. Sometimes the hardest part of a big project is just getting started. So here's the secret. Cheat. That's right. Just cheat. Don't start at the beginning. Just jump right into the middle. Tackle whatever part of the project seems the easiest, or maybe the part you're actually most excited to work on. Why does this work so well? Because it instantly creates momentum. It's like rolling a small snowball down a hill. You get a quick, easy, psychological win, and that makes the rest of the huge project feel way less scary. All of a sudden, that difficult introduction you were dreading is a piece of cake to write because, hey, the hard part is already done.
This is the famous Parkinson's law, and it secretly runs our lives. Seriously, if you give yourself a week to finish a task, it somehow manages to take the entire week. And knowing this leads us to our next incredibly powerful and totally counterintuitive habit. So instead of trying to find more time, the most productive people do the exact opposite. They give themselves less time. By setting an aggressive, almost unreasonable deadline, you basically manufacture focus out of thin air. You force your brain to cut out all the fluff, ignore the distractions, and become ruthlessly efficient. Okay, for our final hack, we're going to shift gears a little. This isn't just a tactic, it's a whole mindset. It's about completely flipping your relationship with difficult things and actually using discomfort as a tool for growth.
In our world, comfort is king, right? We're always trying to find the easy way. But for top performers, comfort is the enemy of growth. They know that real productivity isn't about finding the easy path. It's about building up the mental muscle to handle hard things. So they go out and intentionally look for productive discomfort. So how do you actually practice this? Well, you can eat the frog. It's a famous idea that just means you do your hardest, most dreaded task first thing in the morning. Or you could finally have that difficult conversation you've been putting off. Or maybe just push yourself a little harder in a workout. Every time you do something like this, you're training your brain to keep going when it wants to quit. You're building resilience. So, when you put this all together, what's the big idea? What's the takeaway? It's that we really need a completely new playbook for how we think about work and productivity. And that really brings us to the most important point of all. True, sustainable productivity isn't about turning yourself into a perfectly efficient machine. It's about understanding your own messy, human psychology and working with your brain's weird rhythms, not constantly fighting against them. So, as we wrap this up, the real question isn't for me, it's for you. Which one of these weird hacks are you going to try first? Are you brave enough for an appuccino? Are you going to give yourself less time on that next big project? Pick one, give it a shot, and see what happens. You might be surprised.